welcome everybody else that just came into the room. And I hope you stay comfortable up there on the wall, by the way. So, as time goes on, if you need to move around a little bit to the back, go ahead. But today I want to welcome you to the last of the Oxford-style social issues debates that we'll be debating today. The debate is on the following motion: school choice will improve U.S. education. Let me introduce our debate panel. Arguing for the motion are Ms. Rachel VanDeVelde, Mr. Benjamin Stinson. Round of applause. And arguing against the motion is Ms. Curran O'Reilly, Mr. Adam Norway. For the audience, let me explain what we are debating and perhaps more importantly, what we are not debating today. Today's debate will include arguments for and against controversial educational reform known as school choice. Under our current system, money for education is given directly to neighborhood schools, and children are assigned to schools based on where they live. In a system with school choice, money for education would not go to the school, but rather directly to the parents in the form of a voucher or tax credit. The parents then use that money to determine which school to send their child. Parents are free to redeem the voucher or tax credit money at any approved public, charter, or private school. This money follows the child from kindergarten through high school graduation. The debate, however, is not about whether education should be compulsory or means mandatory. It's not about whether unions are good or bad, but it's certainly not about the politics of education, that being Democrats versus Republicans and their views on education. Before we get started, let me remind everyone the debate rules. The debate will be divided into 4 rounds. We will begin with opening statements, for which contestants will have 2 minutes to argue their case. Opening statements will be followed by rebuttals, where the 2 sides will have an opportunity to ask questions or pose comments to the opposition. Next, we will open the debate up to the audience and Twitter sphere, I think that's a word, it's a real word, for a round of question and answers, and we will conclude with closing statements where the teams get to offer their last word on the debate. So without further delay, let's hear opening statements from the sides arguing for the motion. For them, okay, so for the motion.
Having school choice instead of having district-based public schools can help in many different ways. Kids from poor communities could go to school with a better education system, less discrimination, and more opportunities. Kids who don't want to go to college could also choose a school that would better prepare them for the career they want to go into out of high school. Also, if a student chooses or has a say in the choice of what school they go to, they will be more likely to attend that school. Stats have shown that school vouchers or tax credits have shown that they are cheaper than the current public school system. Vouchers are a certificate of money from the government that parents can direct toward the school of their choice. Charter schools, which use the voucher system, are significantly cheaper and have the same or better test scores. The average student who attends a charter school spends just over $6,000. The average public school student spends close to $11,000. Choice will also create competition between schools that gives teachers and administrators more incentives to improve and perform at a higher level. If a school isn't performing well, and they won't receive funding because the students and parents won't want their kids to attend a school with low standards. Also, teachers will want to teach more efficiently because if the school has low scores and admissions, they could lose their job.
Very good.
I want to start with a thought experiment for you guys. I want you to imagine for a second that you go to your mailbox and you find a letter with your name on it, and inside that letter you get a golden ticket. This golden ticket gives you the freedom to go to any school that you choose. If you're passionate about mechanics, you can go to a trade school. If your passion is nursing, you can go to a school with a nursing track. If your passion is to get a well-rounded education, you can stay here at Galva. What if I told you that this thought experiment was possible? Well, it is. It's called school choice, and it's radically different than what you're used to. Improving our current system has been at the top of every president's agenda for the last 40 years. And in that time, we've tried countless reforms. We've tried increasing funding for public schools. We've tried a charter movement, we've tried high standards, we've tried no child left behind, and now Common Core, and yet we've seen no measurable progress. Why is that? Well, the answer is simple. Our schools are run like monopolies. And monopolies have no incentive to provide a good product. If a school today does poorly, it continues to receive funding and it loses no students. And what's worse is that great schools aren't rewarded for being great. The only way to change these backward incentives of our current system is to introduce market competition by giving parents and students choice. When schools compete for students in a market, they're given an incentive to provide a better education or risk lose funding. Like any other market, whether it be a market for smartphones or sports cars, producers who don't provide a good product will go out of business. And choice encourages schools to give students what they want. How do I know this will all work? Well, because history and economics shows us that markets always work better than monopolies. The laws of supply and demand work just as well in education as they do in shopping malls. In fact, markets give us nearly everything that we enjoy in our modern world, from 3D printers to iPhones to entertainers like Taylor Swift and LeBron James. So I want to ask you one question. Would you rather have our current system that decides for you, or would you rather have one that gives you the freedom to choose?
Okay, I'm going to give this team equal time, whatever you got there. Okay, very good. Okay, please.
Okay, well, when the first private or charter schools were made, they were made to work alongside of public schools, not now as they are competing against them and trying to overrun them. Their goal is to get rid of all public schools together and just have private schools. But Jeb Bush from Huffington Post said that public education dumbs down standards to make adults look better. This is a statement argued in a lot of their arguments on their opposing side, and it states that, or there's a comment below this that said that charter schools are raising test scores more quickly than the peers in public schools, but although they're learning a month over what we're learning here in public schools, their test scores don't show that. 80% of them that took reading a month more than us perform below the 50th percentile of achievement, and 84% below in math. These scores show how disappointing private schools and charter schools actually perform compared to us in public schools.
Okay, going off what Curran said, I just have a brief introduction. Good morning. Public education, I'm young, Mr. Stinson is young, you're all young. It has seen a dramatic change in the past 60 years. Most recently, this past week, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, where we saw social integration between African American and white students. Some argue, like our opponents here today, that public education has become a failed system where student success or lack thereof is determined solely by your address. That's not true. The common theory is that if our current educational system is broke, which is the argument on our other side, then it's time to be fixed. The concept of privatized education, or the voucher system, often in the form of a charter school, is considered the crown jewel of choice in America's educational system. It's the goal today of myself and Ms. O'Reilly to my left to demonstrate that we are not here to debate the merit and importance of choice in education. Rather, we must understand the falsifications and especially the inaccuracies with the negative labels placed on today's public schools. Choice is only effective when the alternative, a charter school, truly offers a better solution to the problem. Charter schools are only a small piece of what I refer to as the P-squared approach, privatization for profit. The struggles of public education as a whole are entirely exaggerated and made to look even worse by the standardized tests that are taken by you in this room here. After examining the ineffectiveness of charter schools alongside the cost to both students, academically and financially, it'll be easy for us all to see that problems with education have been created by corporate giants profiting on your back.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Okay, next we're going to transition into the rebuttals. So each team will be able to offer questions, comments, or rebut any of the statements that either team has made.